Alright, here we are at part 15 now. This is the one where we begin the hunt for the remaining Chozo artifacts, so we can open up the temple. You can scan these statues to get hints on where to go, but I do remember and I did research where the rest are. Some I do just remember where they are, and others I did some quick research just to refresh myself on where the rest are. So I'm gonna start heading out to go and do that. But yeah, let's see how far we can go here in this hour. So, let's skedaddle. Got our Phazon suit. You know, this whole fetch quest part is really not so bad. Not nearly as bad as a lot of people make it out to be. Not that I necessarily think it should be here just because of that, but for what it is, they did a very good job just designing it and making it easy to go around. And the thing is a lot of these artifacts you can get before you even reach this section of the game. And the thing is that even now, going back through, it's all integrated into the map, so you can pick up power-ups along the way. And it's basically just going through and exploring one more time. And I think something that's kind of ironic or interesting is that Metroid Prime 4's equivalent of this, which is getting the green energy, is pretty much... It is like they took all the stereotypes and what people describe this quest as being, and just made that into reality. It's like, yeah, it's everything people say that this end of the game fetch quest is, but just real. It being tedious, busy work, just made to pad out the game. And while it's true that this does add in, padding. This is padding. And while it's true, like, the developers didn't even originally want to add in this whole key quest thing, they at least made it fun and work as a victory lap around the map, fully kitted out, a good chance to collect items along the way, and it's actually integrated into the map itself. Whereas with the green energy crystal thing in Prime 4, it's just spending more time wandering around the desert, smashing into crystals, putting your power bombs on it. It's not making you explore the map. It has no, purpose within the world itself, which this quest, look at this, going all around the map, applying skills, applying your items. One last hurrah, essentially, as you go through. But with Prime 4's one, it's like there's really no point to it. And, structurally, the way it adds into game flow, it doesn't lead you anywhere, doesn't really give much to new discoveries. The desert's pretty barren as it is. And on top of that... Hold on. Let me see. Okay. And on top of that, like, the alternative... That's another thing, is that the green energy crystals are barely even built into the actual levels themselves. So it's pretty much just going to be spending time in the desert, smashing into crystals with your motorcycle. Whereas at least with these, you can pick them up along the way, and they're actually built into the proper level design itself. There. Oh. Okay. Okay. Well now. It's built into the level design itself, whereas in Prime 4, the green crystals aren't even present really in the actual levels, the actual areas that you go to. Oh my gosh, I'm hitting the jump button and nothing is happening. Ugh. Okay. It's funny, I'm complaining about Prime 4, meanwhile I'm just messing up on this area right now. Hold on. There we go. Hold on, let me concentrate on this really quick. There we go. Just needed a little build-up. Ah. Oh, look at this. This is very pretty. There we go. 160 missiles. Alright, let's head back out. Let's see, next where I want to go to is Chozo Ruins. So the elevator to Chozo Ruins is up. Okay. Back through that door I came in from. There we go. Let's see. Elevator right over there. There we go. Have I done that? Yeah, it looks like I have. Leads into... Ah, okay. It leads back to the main area. And I don't hear the item sound, so I think I'm good on that. Alright. Alright. Head to Chozo Ruins. But yeah, as I was saying, Prime 4's quest is, one, not integrated into the world at all, and two, like 10 times more tedious than what this game does. Oh yeah! I've got the grapple beam, so I can take care of this now. No, requires a missile. Okay. There we go. Okay. Oh, did I seriously never grab that? Okay. Well, now's my chance. But yeah, just kind of wasting time grabbing green crystals in the middle of a desert. But it's like they took all the stereotypes of this area in the game and just made it a reality. Everything that people said was wrong with it just becomes real. Ah, okay. Ah, so by me going through there, it's going to make that reality. Okay, good. Look at that. I take no damage from these guys anymore. I like how Samus's Phazon suit really matches with the more industrial aesthetic. It's nice to have those color scheme changes. And now we can do this. After all this time. Made it. Had a feeling. There we go.
Recorded to logbook.
Chozo script translated. The power of our temple and the 12 artifacts has sealed an evil in the depths of this planet. However, the future is cloudy to us. A world of veils where dark apparitions flit in the shadows. Within this strange world, one image stands out in the midst, flickering through the landscape, wraith-like. It is a human, a lone figure shining in the toxic shadows. We Chozo do not know what it is, but our hearts swell with hope at the promise of that glowing light. We will place our faith in our shrine. We will be there when the light shines upon our land. Nice. I hear the sounds of Chozo ghosts. Oh, there you are. All done? All done. Alright. Now, I think that's the last energy tank. Oh my gosh, I've never gotten all of them before. There we go. Well, this is a first. Come on. Get in! Oh, just in time. Okay. Wow. All energy tanks. Gee. I'm maxed out. That's pretty cool. Oh my gosh. This is probably the most deadly that these puzzles, the morph ball puzzles, get. Whoa, whoa. Okay. Ha! You're mine. 170 missiles. Nice. Alright, and now I just gotta head to the Tower of Light. And that'll be it for Chozo Ruins after all this time. I hear another item. But from where? I hear it. What in the world? There's another item? I hear another item. But where is it coming from? Strange. hear it. The sound. What could it be? Huh. Maybe it's inside that room. It's very clear, whatever it is. Well, I won't worry about it too much right now. Just continue on the path towards the artifacts. Oh my gosh. So that's how you're gonna do it. Okay. Alright. Alright, where are you? Show yourself so that I may blast you. Now these guys are actually just padding. This is actually just padding. My gosh, this is incredibly irritating. It's just tedious. It's literally just tedious. Oh my gosh. No. Okay. Thank you. That's enough of that. Alright. Oh, that was my own fault. Okay. My fault. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. There we go. Remember to hit the button. There we go. we go. Mine. Alright. Now time to head to Phendrana Drifts. Let's see. That one's Spirit. The other one is... Hold on. Let me take a moment to look over my notes. Just a sec. Wow, yeah. There really are 3 all in Phendrana Drifts. Okay. Well, let's head on over there. No thank you, Chozo. Another thing that really bothers me about Metroid Prime 4's design is that it's set up like temples in a Zelda game. But the thing is that since when was Metroid like temples? Metroid level design isn't set up like temples. They're not temples. I mean, if you've watched me play through this game, these are very much not set up like temples. They are... These aren't temples. They're like... What's the right word for this? They're environments, they're city planning, they're not just like these one-stop puzzle areas. They're places where you continually weave back and forth through them. You go from one to the next. They slowly open up as you go along. They lead from one to the next. It's like a city layout. There isn't a hub world and then you travel and then you go to a temple. Even like, it's not anything like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom either, where you have a whole open world and then you have these designated dungeon areas. It's not set up like that. It's set up more like a... What's the word I'm looking for? Zelda dungeons are set up more like amusement parks or attractions, where they have a designated sort of in and out, a point where you're done with them and you exit out of them. That sort of set up puzzle. A key item, or a key gimmick. But with Metroid, the areas aren't amusement parks, they're not attractions. You don't go in and experience a mechanic and then you're done, or you leave. They're like multiple levels of a single building, but with like different themes, different challenges. But you're never gonna be stuck in one for long. You're always going to be leaving one, going onto a different floor. It's one large interconnected space with different environments inside of it. So you go to one area, you can only spend a little time there before you get shunted off to a different area. But then that area will have an elevator that takes you to, like, section B of area A, or area 1. And then that'll cross you over. It's like taking intersections. That's the word. It's like city infrastructure. That's what I'm trying to... That was the word I was thinking of. It's like infrastructure. That's how Metroid is built. I want to go to Phendrana North. It's built like city infrastructure or road infrastructure with off-ramps and with turnpikes, off-ramps, highways, intersections. Yeah, I can finally use this. Nice. Oh, right. That's satisfying. But yeah, off-ramps, intersections, crossways. You have to sort of plan your route on the map, figure out what intersection takes you where. Oh, this area has some road work going on, so you have to make a left here. And then you cross through this neighborhood, but you won't be in that neighborhood for very long. I hear the other one, but I don't see it. Oh. What was that? Oh, there he is. Yeah, and then you cross through, like, neighborhood A, but you're not going to be in that neighborhood for very long. You're probably just going to take a few streets, but then it'll turn out later that, you know, maybe you need to go buy something at the gas station that was in that area. So you'll cross through, but in order to do that, you'll need, like, a key from, or a special license, or, you know, the road is a bit tough, so you need to switch into a new set of tires. Things like that. That's how Metroid is planned out. It's planned out in a very city civilian infrastructure kind of way. It's not segmented off into dungeons. It's like every area you step into is a neighborhood, all connected in this one sort of city. Subways, junction tunnels, elevators, escalators, crosswalks. It's what gives every area its longevity and makes them so full of depth and returnability, and the way they expand in scope, as well as, like, getting more used to the area that you're in. As well as getting more used to the area that you're in. But it's not going into these sectioned off, segmented dungeon things, you know? It's very rare in a Metroid game that you're ever just supposed to sit in the same spot for a long time and then clear it and then leave, you know? It's not really how that works. But something to point out is that, not as like a counterpoint, but switching topics essentially, something to point out is that this game is pretty much done with the visors. It never really got to do much with them. You know, there was the thing where you looked into a wall and shot a power conduit. And, you know, it had its gimmicks, which essentially boiled down to, you can't shoot a thing, now you can shoot a thing. Or, you couldn't jump on a thing, now you can jump on a thing, instead of just being able to jump on the thing. But it's pretty much done, for the most part, with doing any of that. So, you're not gonna see too much more usage out of the visors from this point going forward. There we go. Again, it's neat for a second. It's novel. But it exhausts itself over time. There's not many applications for a good amount of it. One-trick pony kind of stuff. Okay, I need to head to the control tower. It would probably be faster just to go through that door. Okay. Yeah. Let me save really quick. Just in case. Alright. There we go, make short work of that guy. And let's see, where do I want to go? I want to head upward. I hear more items. It's like right over here. I hear it. I'm not going to worry too much about items more at this point. I pretty much got what I need to destroy Metroid Prime at this point. Oh, there it is. Okay. Well, might as well, since I'm here. But yeah, I pretty much got what I need to destroy Metroid Prime at this point. More missiles will essentially just be useful for making the special beam weapons last longer. Okay. Now I have sort of two options here. Head into the lab. Not quite yet. Not quite yet. You were tough in the past, but this is now. And I've got a plasma beam. There we go. Let's see. There we go. It always bothers me every time I hear the item sound and I know I can't grab it, or I don't know exactly where it is. At this point, most leftover items are just gonna be like power bomb type stuff. Yeah, there we go. Either power bomb expansions or have to be opened up by using a power bomb. There we go. Yeah. There we go. Get rid of these guys. I'll have to check, but I'm not sure if this game does the thing where if there's still an item in the room will flash. Let's see, I'm thinking, where is... Ah, yeah, okay. I can get to the control tower faster by going through the research core, going through Research Lab Aether, or I can go through this. I think I'll go through this instead. That sounds like a good enough plan. There we go. There we go. And then switch to this beam. Oh yes, there is that. Okay, glad I came back through this way. There is something I can grab while I'm here. There we go. Come on. Oh, thank you. Okay. Ah, more missiles. That's true, I guess if I have full energy tanks, it's just going to be missile after missile after missile. The taming of Thardus continues. Barring unforeseen setbacks, it can be installed on phase-on mine patrols by Lotus Milestone. Research on Talon 4 is expanding into new areas. Pending stabilization of the Thardus venture, we will expand in animation research to include other native Talon 4 materials. Where are you? There we go. Okay. Now we can go ahead, head over here. I love the contrast of the red and the black to the surrounding environment. The gravity suit had a nice contrast of going with, like, not contrast, but it went with the accents of the purple doors. I feel like I'm going backwards. I'm going backwards. It went with the accents of the purple doors, and now the Phazon suit is instead contrasting with the rest of the environment. There we go. Okay. Through the ice. Alright. I don't want to go through that elevator. What I want to do is go through here. Switch to Ice Beam. Now, if I head to the right, go to the research core, I can go into the control tower. And then my last destination is Phendrana's Edge. Okay. Switch to thermal visor, head on up. Okay, we're going up. My goodness, those still do a gratuitous amount of damage. And you got Metroids as well. Not a good place to be. Okay, just gotta make it across. Okay. We're much stronger than when we were last here. Okay, just gotta head to that door up there. Don't think I don't see that missile over there. There we go. Okay. Head back up. Now, one thing I wanted to talk about is I wanted to talk about how there was this thing I heard the other day again, which was, it's been in a couple of movies, but the phrase of like, the only thing between us and space is a couple inches of metal. And I thought that that was a really interesting idea, because that's kind of something that Metroid really takes to heart. But instead of a spaceship, it's Samus's suit. And there's like a really... Her suit is almost designed in the same way that a spaceship would be. In that it's... technology is protecting her from the environment. And there's sort of a narrative in Metroid about the artificial kind of overtaking and defying the natural. How Samus is constantly fighting inhabitants of different places that are kind of like locals or creatures a lot of the times. Like, Samus fights a lot of creatures, whether it's Ridley, whether it's Kraid, whether it's the Ing, what have you. And her suit is like the one thing protecting her from... I wish it went a little further into the distance. Her suit is like the one thing protecting her from the outside, and a lot of the times they show you just how fragile she is. Well, how fragile anyone would be if they didn't have the suit. This looks like a job for super missile. Oh, never mind. Okay. This is dumb. This does not appear anywhere else in the game. This explosive thing right here. Nowhere else in the game. No clue to even, like, shoot it. That took me forever to find the first time I went through this game. There we go. Alright. Only one more left for this area. 2 left total. The next one is in Phendrana's Edge. Oh yeah, a lot of the times they show you just how fragile Samus is without her suit. And, well, again, just how fragile anybody would be without a suit. It's just that Samus is the main character, you know, so she gets to be the prime example. The prime example. But in, like, Metroid Dread, the suit, and especially Metroid Fusion, its suit design gives the impression of Samus's original suit having been completely, like, skinned. Well, actually, it literally has. Her suit, a majority of it is surgically cut and removed from her body. Her suit has literally been skinned off of her. And then in Dread, her suit has all these, like, it's healing, but it has all of these, like, exposed muscle segments, almost. It has all these exposed muscle areas where there's a visual indicator of there being less protection on Samus's body. But they kind of lean into this motif of Samus's suit essentially functioning like a ship would in a space, if it was a story that took more in outer space. It's those few inches of metal separating you from the cold bleakness of, you know, in this case, the world and nature. Yeah, in this case, the world and nature, but it's her suit, and the weaker she gets, the more, like, literally, like a body exposed her suit gets. Instead of the hard metal plating that keeps her safe from the outside, there's all this exposed muscle. And with Fusion's suit, it's like even less than that. It's like the flesh underneath the muscle. almost there. Okay. Phew. That could have been bad, but thankfully it was not. No. Okay. We're good. Grapple beam is always the most finicky part. Okay. We're gonna do this. It's possible. Please, I'm hitting the button. I'm hitting it. We're very nearly there. You just gotta work with me, game. Please. Please. At least I have the music. Getting upset. I'm getting upset. I'm heated. Please. I beg you. We're almost there. We're almost there. We're almost there. Come on! Bear with me. Deep breaths. Deep breaths. It's over there. Okay. We're good. We're good. No reason to fret. Alright. Only one artifact left. I'm gonna go grab it. Time to head back to Phazon Mines. Okay, where's the nearest elevator? Not for a while. Okay. Time to head back. We're gonna make it. It's a long journey. We've come a long way. I will say this is a little faster than the last time I played. There are a couple of things I probably could have streamlined a bit better. Like going for the gravity suit before continuing through the crashed ship. Still lots of spots to improve. Plenty of spots to improve. But this is not too shabby. There we go. Best thing to do is not linger on the map for too long. And to just keep on going. Not right now. I got one more I gotta get. Where in the world? Oh, okay. Okay. Nearest elevator. Right over there. Gotta head up. One thing I was thinking about that I wouldn't mind in a proper evolution of Metroid Prime is one thing about this game is sometimes, a lot of the times I would say, it's a lot, the gameplay experience of this game can be a lot of gameplay, a lot of like literally just playing game with very little in the way of necessarily having context for progress. And one thing I would really love going forward in Metroid Primes is maybe just like a few more cutscenes to just let you know that you're making it through the story, to give you like an anchor point in the narrative. Because when it comes to like this game, it's a whole lot of immersion. And that is a good thing. It's a whole lot of immersion. It's a whole lot of, you know, being steeped into the world. But I wouldn't mind a few pieces of cutscene to just let you know that you're moving along your mission successfully. Whereas with this game, it's a whole lot of just, like, even Super Metroid had ways to sort of give you a feel that you were moving along narratively. And one of the key ways that it did that was with the golden statue that let you know how many of the main bosses you had left to defeat. And it would also do it through things like set pieces, like with Crocomire. Or meeting the animals. And that's something that this game kind of lacks, is those smaller, super defined moments. Like, yes, there's the thing with the blackout, with the power going out, but that's not really the same as the character interactions that, like, Super Metroid had. Like, suddenly meeting Crocomire, or seeing that golden statue, or meeting the animals, and things like that. Where I want to go is Elite Research. Central Dynamo. No, Elite Control. Okay, tell you what. I do not want to go through all that. I'm going through the elevator in Talon Overworld. I'm just gonna use that elevator instead. But this game is... It's a whole lot of immersion, but there's not those sort of anchor points. It lacks those anchor points that games like Super Metroid have. It's a lot of moving through the areas. It's just, yeah, it's mainly that. It's a lot of moving through the areas. Just going from room to room, taking in the beautiful visuals, but it's kind of missing a... Actually, let me keep going this way. But it's missing what feels like a key component of a certain amount of narrative that games like Super Metroid did have. Super Metroid also had those little moments like the cameras turning on when you got the morph ball, or the usage of like certain areas. Like, it should be noted that the whole reason Samus is here, her mission is currently to hunt down Ridley. But we've barely seen the guy. But it feels like the game sort of loses story. Has plenty of immersion, but kind of loses a certain amount of narrative potential. That kind of keeps you going. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be cutscenes. Like, Super Metroid didn't really do cutscenes, but it did those set pieces. It did those set pieces, it did those key moments, it had those indicators that you were making progress, so it felt like you were going through, you know, chapter to chapter type of thing. Ironically, this whole relic quest here at the end of the game feels the most like narrative or story progression, you know, sort of plot. And I guess that's kind of a strength that Super Metroid had, was tying in the upgrading of Samus's suit to the overall feel of progressing through the plot. This game doesn't really have that at all. Keep in mind, the game's plot progression is finding and defeating Ridley. But the guy doesn't really appear very much. And then its other plot thing is like opening up the impact crater. But Samus's suit really doesn't lean into that. Like, the progress of her suit. Really, the only thing in this game that really has to do with the narrative of getting into the impact crater is this relic quest. Everything else we've been doing has just kind of been a side thing on the path to doing that. But none of it has really mattered toward that central plot. You know, we've just kind of been getting stronger because that's what you do in a Metroid game, you know? But really it's had nothing to do with... It's really had absolutely nothing to do with actually opening up the impact crater and things like that. Or the goal of defeating Ridley. It's not really tied into that. Whereas with, like, Super Metroid, yeah, you do see Ridley at the start. And the mission does become to retrieve the Metroid larva. But, hold on just a sec while I think about where I'm going. And the mission does become to retrieve the Metroid larva, but the game very quickly introduces the obstacles of the 4 main bosses to you. And so you very much get it in your head that each bit of progression there is to take out each of the bosses, that each one of those guys that you take out is a step forward. Everything you gain is very much tied narratively to that process. And it kind of leads into something interesting with how the Super Metroid, when you finally do get the larva, like, all of your stuff is basically for nothing. It's grown way too strong for all this progress you've made throughout the game to even help you escape or affect it. And another thing is the fact that they create a set piece out of the Super Metroid in the first place before you reach the ending. There's a lot more of an active narrative in Super Metroid. Just through things happening. Yes, I would like to save. Just through things happening, there's a lot more of an active narrative. Through the set pieces of, like, Crocomire, who you need an item that you just got in order to defeat. It creates the feeling that your progression meant something, was worth it, and is continuing you towards your end goal as you go along. It gives you something nice and fun to do with the thing you just got. But with this game, grabbing up your items really is just a side piece to everything else that you gotta do. It's not really directly tied into getting into the impact crater. What you need to get into the impact crater is the 12 artifacts that we're getting right now. Sure, the items help you grab those things, but that's sort of, narratively, it's a bit auxiliary to that quest. Like, of course it helps you get those things. Just like, of course, leveling up in a game helps you to defeat bosses. But there's nothing intrinsically narrative about that on its own. Like, of course it does that. It's how progression works in this kind of game. But it's missing that crucial thing of giving it a narrative purpose. More than just being, I can get it now because I progressed through the game more and leveled up. Can you please move? Thank you. If you're gonna be annoying, at least have a hitbox that works. There we go. But this game is very much missing that key part and kind of leans sometimes way too super heavy into just being the straight gameplay and just immersion, you know? That's something about the game. I love it for what it does well, but it very much feels like it's missing that kind of key part. It's missing the smaller moments. Now, it has smaller moments in the form of, you know, walking into a room, seeing some amazing lighting, maybe scanning some stuff for lore, but that's not really substantial compared to a moment that puts Samus into action to show the usefulness of her progression in a more curated, particular way to show the player, like, check this out, look what you can do to this thing, this new challenge that we set up. To purposely act as like a chapter or a bookend, you know, like a little narrative piece. But that's very different from, you know, I leveled up enough to defeat a boss. That's not really curated. See, this game kind of goes for the thing of like, we gave you the items, now you can move around more. Or basically, it kind of highlights your progress. It kind of bookends your progress by just saying you can get around more of the world, basically, which is kind of the bare essential of it. But there's something very different when the game instead says, hold on, elite control. I think I need to go to, hold on, let me double check really quick before I go spelunking. Because I could take the elevator down to elite control, if that is in fact the room where I ought to be. Let's see. Okay. I just need to go to Elite Research. Okay. That's nice. I think I remember the first time I ever did this, I went to Elite Control instead of Elite Research, and that was a nightmare. Okay. That is very satisfying. Okay. More. But that's that sort of reward of the base level amount of, well, that's just how progression in the game works. It doesn't have the same narrative feeling or weight or mentality of progression to it. Just a sec, kind of concentrate on this. There we go. Okay. Here we go. The last artifact. All 12 acquired. Alright, let's leave. It's time to head out. Head back to Talon Overworld. Ah, there we go. Excuse me. I'm stuck. I can't move. Ah! I think the model for that lowered right into me. It is a good thing I have a ton of health. There we go. Okay. Almost there. Almost there. But yeah, when it's like a curated segment, purposely pitted up against a physical character, an actual designed figure, some character to embody that test, the progress, the item, the progression. For me, that's a lot better than the reward basically just being the basic game loop, the basic... For me, that's better than just, yeah, it being the basic game loop of just, now you can progress. Now you can do more, in a general sense. I guess the key thing is that sometimes moving through this game, it's very quality, but it can feel like a haze, because there's very little to sort of anchor you. Oh wait, I don't need to do that. There's very little to sort of anchor you into the experience that way. Chozo Ruins South, Phazon Mines East. Yeah, I can go to Chozo Ruins South. It's either that or go back through the crashed ship. Well, why not? One last romp through the crashed ship. Oh, or not. Go to Chozo Ruins South. That works too. That works too. Yeah, sometimes this moving through this game can feel like a haze. Not because low quality or it's unmemorable, but because it has this feeling of sort of moving through the motion of it, because there's not something to sort of crystallize and anchor your experience into the world itself. Sort of embody the moment. That is something that I think Prime 2 gets a lot better at compared to this game. And though you might think Prime 3, with its more narrative focus, achieves that, it's not at all what I'm referring to. Prime 3 gets... Prime 3 is a completely different direction, where it gets way too far into just being this sort of chapter-based sort of space opera type thing, where there's these very written narrative beats. But that's very different. What I'm referring to is more like what Super Metroid did. Whereas what Prime 3 does is more akin to something like Halo. Actually, this was much faster than going through the sunken ship. But yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about when it came to this game. And the way it's built. I'm sure I'll think of something else, but for now, that's what I've gotten me to say. Alright, gonna go save and go to the temple really quick. I like how the white part of the Phazon suit sometimes can appear black. It's like one of those materials that seems to change color based on what light it's in. Like, I've seen a car where its paint looks orange in one lighting and it looks pink in the other. And this suit kind of has that property where in some lightings it looks like the suit is mostly black or entirely black, and then in other lightings the suit looks like it's kind of silvery or like a titanium color on the main body. But it could also be black, but like a different shininess, or it's more transparent, I'm not sure. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end here for today. Right here. What's coming up next is pretty much the ending. See, look at this. It's like silvery, but it can become black or white based on what lighting is hitting it. Don't mind me setting up my thumbnail really quick. There we go. Send those to myself. Alright. Let me go ahead and turn that back on. Options, display, HUD opacity 100. HUD visibility, helmet visibility on. Alright. Well, that's it for now. I'll see you in the final.